Why do legends from thousands of years ago still haunt our headlines? Why do stories carved into clay tablets, whispered around ancient fires, still echo in the digital age, flashing across our screens and shaping the way we see the world? It's as if the past refuses to stay buried, resurfacing in the moments we least expect, reminding us that the questions our ancestors asked are still the ones we grapple with today. The Tower of Babel. One story, endless echoes. Its silhouette rises not just in the pages of old texts, but in the steel and glass of our cities, in the ambitions that drive us ever upward, and in the fractures that threaten to pull us apart. Let's see why this ancient myth matters now more than ever. In a world where technology connects us instantly and yet divides us in new and subtle ways, the lessons of Babel feel urgent, almost prophetic. The Tower of Babel, once just bricks and mortar, now a mirror held up to modernity. It's a story that reflects our own age, where the old and the new stand side by side, and where every innovation brings both promise and peril. At its heart, it's a tale of human ambition unchecked. The desire to reach higher, to build something that will outlast us, to leave a mark on the world, these are timeless impulses. But the story asks, at what cost do we chase greatness? Today the tower's shadow stretches across our skylines. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, missions to Mars. We are building new towers, not just of stone, but of code, DNA and dreams. Each breakthrough brings us closer to the stars, but also raises new questions about our limits and our responsibilities. Are we, too, building upward without looking inward? Are we so focused on progress that we forget to ask why we build and for whom? The myth challenges us to consider whether our foundations are strong enough to support our ambitions. The lesson? Ambition without humility usually ends in rubble. When we ignore the limits of our knowledge or the needs of others, our greatest projects can collapse under their own weight. History is littered with the ruins of civilizations that reach too far, too fast. But Babel is also a story of unity and its undoing. It's about people coming together with a single purpose, only to be torn apart by misunderstanding and pride. The myth reminds us that unity is fragile and that the forces that bind us can just as easily break us apart. With the world more connected than ever, we still stumble over differences. We can send messages across continents in seconds, but sometimes struggle to truly understand the person sitting next to us. The more we connect, the more we realize how much can still divide us. Despite our devices, are we really speaking the same language? Or are we, like the builders of Babel, talking past each other, lost in translation even as we share the same space? The myth asks us to consider what it really means to communicate and to connect. The myth reminds us unity built on pride or fear is brittle as glass. When we come together for the wrong reasons or try to force sameness, our bonds can shatter at the first sign of stress. True unity, the story suggests, is built on respect, not on domination or conformity. Some, though, see Babel as a beginning, not a catastrophe. Out of confusion and scattering came new languages, new cultures, new ways of seeing the world. The end of one project became the start of countless others, each with its own beauty and possibility. From one shattered tongue grew a chorus of cultures. Diversity became a source of strength, not weakness. The world became richer, more complex, and more interesting because of the differences that emerged. Was it punishment or a push toward diversity? Maybe the scattering was not just a setback, but a necessary step toward a more vibrant, interconnected world. The story invites us to see difference not as a threat, but as a gift. Perhaps the scattering was how civilization learned to sing in many voices. Each language, each culture adds a new note to the human symphony. Our differences, when embraced, can create harmony rather than discord. And don't forget, Babel is a warning against empires too. The desire to make a name, to stamp out difference, is as old as kings, and just as dangerous. History shows us that attempts to impose uniformity often lead to resistance, rebellion, and ultimately, collapse. The desire to make a name, to stamp out difference, is as old as kings, and just as dangerous. When power is used to silence or erase, the result is not unity, but unrest. The myth warns us to be wary of those who promise greatness at the cost of diversity. True strength lies not in flattening the world, but in letting it flourish. When we nurture what makes each community unique, we create a world that is resilient, adaptable, and alive with possibility. In the end, Babel is about more than bricks. It's about the dreams we build, the risks we take, and the ways we come together or fall apart. It's a story about the human spirit in all its ambition and vulnerability. It's about the peril and promise of misunderstanding. Every misstep, every confusion is also an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to find new ways of connecting. In a world of noise, maybe the oldest story still has something to say about truly listening. Perhaps the real lesson of Babel is not about the dangers of ambition or the inevitability of division, but about the power of empathy, the ability to hear, to understand, and to build something lasting together, even when we don't always speak the same language.